in what I do, you're a comedy duo. So it's not me, the ventriloquist, and the puppet. It's me as a character and the puppet as a character, and whatever the circumstance is. And I think as adults, we're always looking for meaning in things. At least I am, and I think having a routine where people have it's got underlying different tones of humanity in it, and there's a character with depth and layers to it. It becomes somewhat of a play, a comedic play.
It's great to meet you here on Zoom, Landon.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, so where are you based?
I am based in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
You
There's
grew
a lot
up
of
there?
great entertainers. No, I actually grew up in Texas. Then I moved here last August because I've got a lot of
Okay.
entertainer friends and a lot of builder friends, and it was kind of calling me. Also, I had to
Mm,
be somewhere where the energy was just electric. And ever
yeah,
since I moved here, I haven't really stopped. So that's a good thing,
really. Oh, well,
especially when you're
that's
an
a good,
artist.
yeah, that's good. But you are a ventriloquist, and
Yes.
yeah, and tell me, where did this love for ventriloquism start?
Oh, wow. I was 6 years old
Mm,
and an introvert of a kid. I didn't quite figure out where I belonged. And I had a ventriloquist come to my school and he performed a educational show. And he did this with the help of his puppets. And I remember seeing it for the first time. And it was like magic to me because I had never seen a live ventriloquist, and the puppets were believable, and it had so much soul and heart in it. And I remember watching and going, I want to try to do that. And then I
mm.
picked up a puppet and started toying around with the idea. Then many years later, I started building puppets, and then it spiraled into this online thing that's now turned into its own tour, and just gotten out of hand. And I've since connected with the man that has inspired me as a kid, and we were
Really?
good
Oh, wow.
friends. And yeah, he's become
That's
somewhat of a mentor to me. So I've been very blessed and
mm.
fortunate for that.
Wow. I mean, that you don't hear that very often, that happens.
Yeah. I think in what I was doing in the ventriloquism and in just being in entertainment in general, you really have to kind of carve your own path. And what I've been doing is trying to connect with all those that have inspired me and that I've looked up to, and try to gain some wisdom from that. So I'm not totally in this by myself. I have the guidance of those before me to lead the way.
But I thought a lot about when I saw you on Instagram. Also, ventriloquism is something that I remember as a child also seeing somebody doing a show, and but it's not just for children. It's adults are actually more intrigued with it because you think immediately about the with the puppets, but it's really
Right.
adult humor.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think at first glance, I've gotten a lot of messages or comments about this recently. At first glance, you see the puppets and you're like, oh, it's for kids. But I
yeah.
really gravitate toward more of the adult audience and
Mm.
humor that takes more time to craft. And so that's
Yeah.
what my career has kind of led me to. And there are some fantastic children's performers out there. But I think that in what I'm doing, I really have to make sure that my brand is evident, that it's for adults, and it's really catered to that. People have appreciated it. And on social media, it's a hard thing because kids are on social media. So how do you do an adult type show or a live stream or even a video, knowing that it could reach kids? And so it's a lot of innuendo and kind of crafting the joke so that it would go over the kid's head, and they would just think, oh, like a silly puppet. But then the parent watches it and go, oh, that's hilarious because of this whole hidden meaning. So it's been kind of an interesting thing to navigate. I'm still in the midst of it, but yeah, I think I've always preferred the adult comedy. That way I can kind of talk about anything I want to, and I don't really have
Yeah.
to put a filter on it.
But now I've spoken to a few puppeteers as well, and it's also this, this almost this misconception that it is for children. But then you see how they use puppets in opera, for example, or having puppet shows that it's really a drama, and they use the puppets. And then as an adult, also you forget it's a puppet. It's that's that sort of thing that you almost. You almost become childlike in that you see it as a human being.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about puppetry is that it's a abstraction. It's a reflection on society. Um, in what I do, you're a comedy duo. So it's not me, the ventriloquist, and the puppet. It's me as a character and the puppet as a character, and whatever the circumstance is. And I think as adults, we're always looking for meaning in things. At least I am, and I think having a routine where people have it's got underlying different tones of humanity in it, and there's a character with depth and layers to it. It becomes somewhat of a play, a comedic play, and there can be dramatic points and high points and low points, and that all adds to the richness of the performance. So you're absolutely correct on that.
And recently, I also spoke to comedians, and we talked about this, the fact that a comedian can sometimes make a joke of something that people, it's sort of a difficult subject, but they can work around it with humor. And can you see that also with your puppets, that the puppet can get away with it when the puppet says something? That you can sort of tap into serious matters and get away with it.
Absolutely, and that's the great thing about having the comedic duo, right? Because if the puppet says something that is relevant but horrible, I can
Yeah.
even it out and go, oh, that's horrible. You shouldn't say that, or I'm sorry, or whatever. And you
Yeah.
kind of defend your step, like, oh, I didn't say it, he said it, and I'm sorry. And that's the great thing is, you're kind of, in a live show or in a live stream, you're really testing what line you can cross. And so if you feel like you've crossed it, you can kind of go back and go, oh, I'm not, he's his own thing. I'm sorry. So that's the beauty of it. And I've done that a lot. I've done it on videos that have gone viral where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And sometimes I think it's nothing, and then the audience thinks it's a crazy thing that this puppet would say, and sometimes I think that it's a crazy thing that puppet would say, and then people are whatever to it. So it's always kind of a test, whether it's a live show or a live stream or a online broadcast or whatever.
But I saw one of the videos that you showed your first puppet, how you made your first puppet, and
Yes.
then the recent ones. And but tell me, at what age did you make your first puppet?
I want to say I think it was like 2016. I was 16 or 17 years old, and I had a friend of mine that was also a ventriloquist, but he had started building puppets, and I was so shocked by the quality that he had started building at. And I said, "Who built these?" And he said, "Oh, I did, and I have these patterns." And I kept asking him questions through text, and he said, "You know what? I'll just send you these patterns, and you can mess around with it." And I've always been artistically inclined. I've always loved art and sculpture and design, and so I started with those patterns, and then I branched out and kind of crafted my own style on that in terms of the bigger puppets and the cartoony nature of the faces and design and all.
And then when you build a puppet, do you have an idea of what the character should be and then build it accordingly? Or does the puppet sort of evolve and then you recognize the character in the puppet?
I think it depends on who I'm building for and what it is. Really, it really comes down to the build. I built puppets for other people as well, all over the world,
Okay.
and usually that starts with a general idea that they might have, that turns into a sketch, that turns into a mock-up that is sometimes shifted based on, oh well, they see the puppet and they're like, I don't quite want that, or I want that, but can you add this? So it's really a process. On my stuff, they're usually inspired by a voice I hear or an idea I have, and then I'll kind of write a couple jokes, maybe craft that into a smaller script. And if I can write for the character just by thinking about it, then I know that I am justified in spending the time to create the puppet. Does that make
Oh
sense?
yeah,
It
yeah.
allows me to know that okay, this will work because I can already think about it, which means that it will translate properly to my audience. So
Yeah.
Jackie, my jackalope,
Yeah,
did
show
not
me
start like
one.
that.
Yeah. Show me the puppet.
This is Jackie.
Mm.
Hi there. This is exciting.
Hi,
I love
Jackie.
this. Hey.
Jackie, it's so lovely to meet you here on Zoom.
Oh, this is great. I can't hear
Mm.
anything you're saying, so I'm just going by what he hears. Right. That's how that works. Right. Because AirPods don't fit in rabbit ears. No, they do not. No. But Jackie started with a voice that I had. Yeah, it was kind of slower and kind of like this. And I was talking to my good friend and mentor, and I said, I love this voice, and I need a puppet for it because I think this is a very funny voice. And little did I know he would become my main character. But he said, what about we went through probably 15 ideas just in a Zoom call like this and kind of figuring out what would be the funniest character that hasn't been done before. And he said, what about a jackalope? And which is really a combination of an antelope and a jackrabbit. And which is basically just looks like a rabbit with antlers. And then I crafted Jackie, what was this, 3 years ago, and started doing videos with him and shows with him. And on TikTok, back then you had to do shorter form content. So your videos could only be up to like 15 seconds to I think a minute long. So if I was doing a routine or a joke, he had to be quicker. So over time, the voice morphed from something like this right here to something kind of quicker. And that also added to his personality because it became more kind of sporadic, more ADHD, kind of like a kid. And that's something that I have in his personality today that makes him different than me and different than the other characters, and has allowed him to build his own following because of how obnoxious he is. Thank you. You're welcome. Great.
And because the movements that you do with him is also a bit like that, like, quick movements that you do.
Right. Yes.
Mhm.
And that comes down to a puppeteering element. But if you have a quick voice, you're going to be kind of. He's always kind of paranoid or always kind of looking around. He gets bored easily, and I think all of these puppets are fragments of my personality. And sometimes if I'm in somewhere I'm comfortable in being there, I can get bored easily or kind of already. What are you doing? Looking for an exit. Okay. Yes. So he's already looking to get out of this conversation. Do you have any gum? No, I don't have any gum. So he's fun, but that all goes into the puppeteering and really just testing it in front of an audience, kind of seeing what they accept, what works, and of course, not wanting the puppet to be dead. The part I love about the performance art of ventriloquism and it's the comedy, it's the writing, it's the performance, it's the puppeteering, it's the acting. Acting, yes, that's new. I'm an
And
actor, and so am I. What kind of? Right.
and you
So
have
it's
because you have different characters these different characters, you change your voice every time.
yeah, it's important to keep the voices different. Kind of like a sitcom, not everyone's going to have the same voice, and you want it, and especially what I do, where you hear the voices off stage or off camera, you want those voices to be identifiable with an image that people have of the character that they've
Oh
seen
yeah.
before.
Mhm.
So I have a zombie that talks slower and slower, and he's kind of always complaining. Oh, that
Mhm.
was weird. Yeah, you weren't doing the ventriloquism; you were just showing the voice, right? This is really inside baseball. Yeah, we're revealing how I think and how this works.
This,
Fascinating, right?
this is so
Um,
amazing. You really forget that it's a puppet when you do it like this.
oh wow, you got puppets? I do. You should get one out. I will in that. Yeah. But yeah, different voices, of
Ah,
course.
I
I've got
love
a
it.
goofy redneck guy that sounds more like he's from the South, and he kind of talks slower, and then he's got points where uh, yeah, he kind of just spaces out. And so, I really like to study people in real life. I will go to yeah, bookstores and different shops and sketch faces and get ideas for people. Um, and it's just a thrill to try new stuff and to sometimes I find a quirk in a personality. Maybe it's someone saying something like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And then maybe start to space out or start chewing or something, and I go, that's a hilarious little feature. I'm going to scribble that down in my notebook, and then I'm going to add that to one of my characters, and that just gives it uh, another layer of personality, because no one, when you're having a conversation with someone, is truly staring at the other person. They might look, and then they might kind of look away, or he might study some lint on my shoulder. It's still there, right? Yeah. He's never, and depending on what the character is, it just kind of calls for the personality. But um, it's all
But
about
you,
keeping that illusion alive.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I spoke to a sculptor once and asked him about this. Do you, because I would imagine he would look at faces and think, oh, hi, oh, this is a great nose, or this is a great ear. And he said that, yeah, he finds himself sometimes in a meeting, and then somebody's ear catches his attention, and then he thinks, oh, okay, I like the shape of that ear. So you do the same thing. So you look at people, and you look at people's reactions, really, or people's expressions then.
Absolutely. People's expressions. Sometimes the way someone will react to something and their expression on their face will make for a great permanent look on a puppet. Just in the way that their cheeks are pulled back, or maybe one of their eyes is large, comically larger than the other, and I will take that, and like a sideshow caricature artist, I will exaggerate the certain features in my puppets, and because my work is more cartoony than it is realistic, because my puppets are whimsical, I will take that, exaggerate it, and then that will become a character. So I'm always looking for things. I'm always taking photos of people and kind of studying. Okay, what makes this portrait unique? And how can I translate that into a puppet? And how can I perform that so it complements the design? And
Mm.
that's I think what I've always focused on, is making sure that the quality of the puppet, the actual look, meets the performance of it. And so,
Oh,
the
yeah.
puppet looks great. Your performance has to be on par with that, and it has to constantly be. You have to constantly be up at it, because people expect a certain quality when they see you at the first time. When they come back and see you again, they want to see that character. They want to see it uh, say its favorite catchphrase, and they want to see it interact with you, and it becomes nostalgic for them. And I've had a lot of people message me about that. It's a responsibility and an upkeep
Yeah. And I think it's also
to it.
that sometimes you see people in the puppets, or that you are looking for these features, but then it's identifiable. So
Oh,
you can
yes,
see, yeah. So you can sometimes recognize a certain personality or something in the puppet.
absolutely. I've got younger cousins that are 8 years old, and they love me, and I hang out with them every time I fly back to Texas. But they are constantly bugging me, and really have no regard for personal space. And I've started taking the things that my interactions with them and writing it down, and that becomes Jack. So Jackie is an amalgamation of my little cousins. He's he's always up on me. He's asking about my girlfriend. Yeah, how is she? She's fine. Okay, she's not real. They're always making fun of me, toying with me, making me
Yeah.
laugh, but also getting on my last nerve. And so
Mhm.
that, making sure that the character is not just one dimensional. He's not just annoying. He's also endearing, and he also has his low points and his high points, and all of
Yeah.
that. And I've got family members that I've based puppets off of, that other family members go, oh, that's like, so and so. And so
Oh,
sometimes it
really?
becomes kind of a subject. Absolutely, absolutely. I've got an old man puppet that might or might not be my grandfather. Who knows?
Oh,
But
okay.
there's
Yeah.
points that just like in a comedian would write a routine, they're looking to make sure that routine is relatable to a large audience. And so when I
Yeah.
write a character, and I create a character, I make sure that that character is relatable, and then of course the routine that follows it matches the character, so I know that that will be relatable and funny, and that's really the
Yeah.
key. So it's quite a
But
thrill.
yeah, but now the art of ventriloquism, so you speak. What do you use? You use your vocal cords, but you don't move your mouth.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, it's mostly a lot of tongue work. What? Yeah, really.
Really?
It's me substituting my tongue placement within my mouth and behind my my teeth, my upper top front teeth, and that substitution and that placement acts as lip movement. So if he were to say, there's a Peter Piper that requires you to pop your lips multiple times. So it's really me moving my tongue bouncing it off of the back of my top front teeth. And this is 17 plus years of practice. He has no social life. No. But it's paid off, kind of. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's that practice, and it's that substitution to mimic the sound that we usually make when we
Yeah.
move our lips. That's right. So I thought I could say Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Exactly. It would
Oh,
sound almost
wow.
like you saying it. Right. Yeah. But you had no call for that in a routine, so you stay away from the letter P. Right. But you want to learn all the hard words to say, so when you're writing a routine, you don't have to purposely avoid them. Right. But some people do. Some people do, and
Oh,
that's another
Jackie.
technique too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackie is a
It
genius.
happens. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But
I'm the genius. Right. Gosh.
yeah.
Right.
But did you have to learn it yourself, or did you is there a place where you learn it? Is like, do you go to ventriloquism school or something?
Oh, that's a great segue into our university, right? I have a university that I've created that's online. It's an online school. It's called
Really?
Ventriloquist University,
Mm.
and and I learned it by myself. I was self taught. I started at the age of 6, and I just watched YouTube videos and DVDs of ventriloquists and studied them, and what is the puppet doing that they're not doing, and vice versa, that makes them good. And so I've just watched a ton of it and then practiced in front of the mirror for years. And then that mirror has slowly evolved into the phone camera on live streams. And then, of course, the live shows when you take the act in front of a audible. I'm going to say, right, because it's social media is not audible because you can't hear the audience. Exactly. Right. When you take that um, in front of an audible audience. But I thought I kept getting messages of people wanting to learn ventriloquism and asking where to go. And I've had friends and people that have done videos on YouTube. And if I dedicate myself to something, I want to do it 110%. And so I thought, what's the best way that I can inform people that want to learn? And I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll create a university, and then I will interview people that I've looked up to in this art and have them talk on certain points and have them be professors on my university. And they talk about
Amazing.
markets and technique and different things. Yeah. So, it's live right now. It's ventriloquistuniversity.com, and it's a wonderful resource. You can learn ventriloquism and at your own pace and learn markets and different things. And the goal is for me always to be adding to it. So we've got some wonderful interviews as well. We've got an interview with Mallory Lewis, who was Sherry Lewis's daughter. Sherry Lewis was popular um, way back when with the character Lamb Chop, and that became a iconic character in the zeitgeist at the time. And now Mallory has continued her legacy and has a book out. We kind of interviewed her about that. So it's really my goal is to really foster the next generation of ventriloquists as I grow in my career, and also inform people and bring them into the community at the same time. Because
That,
I've been so fortunate to have so many people introduce me to all this that it's really
yeah.
a world that you're embarking into. Wow, I could
That,
fall asleep right now. Yeah, thanks.
but this is amazing because you have to also be I mean, there's a lot of facets. It's the puppet building, it's the acting, sort of, it's the writing, it's the humor. So it's a lot of things in one. You know, when
Yes.
you do this.
Absolutely, yeah, and not all ventriloquists build their own puppets. There are puppet builders within our community that people go to with an idea. I'm one of them. People have come to me with ideas that I built for them. Um, but yeah, I build my stuff because I figure that it's the quickest and easiest way to get exactly what I'm looking for. And I love the process of tinkering with something. And I love the process in general from the start to finish. And that's what you see on the Ventriloquist University. And what I've done in some of my online videos is kind of showing the process and how one of these characters comes to be. So it's fun. Can I sit down now? I'm spacing out. Yeah, you can go. Okay. Bye.
Bye
Oh,
bye, bye bye,
ow.
Jackie. Oh, this is brilliant. Really,
Thank you.
when I see it like that, you forget it's a puppet. I don't know. It's puppeteering for me
Means
is
I'm
so
doing my job.
fascinating.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. But it is a long process. It's a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of practice. And do you think people always realize that?
Uh, do you mean like the audience or like fellow
Yeah, the
ventriloquists?
audience and people who want to do it.
I think it takes a lot of work to make anything look easy.
Mhm.
And ventriloquism is no exception to that because it's got so many facets. I think keeping the establishing the illusion of life in something inanimate, which is what we do as ventriloquists, takes a lot of work, takes a lot of awareness, and I've been practicing since I was a kid, and it's been the one thing I've really dedicated my life to, and I'll die doing it because I love it so much. But I don't think that people I think that anyone can learn ventriloquism, but I think there requires a certain awareness to keep that illusion, to build it, keep it alive, and then nurture it, and then present it to an audience. It's a real process, and it's a vulnerability in a way too, because you want the character to be different from you, but there also has to be some truth in what the character is, and so it has
Yeah,
to be something that you can pull from inside you, uh, where you don't get uh, sick and tired of it in a way. Does
yeah,
that make sense? Like Jackie is a character, but he's also part of me, so I can ad lib with him and I can improvise with the character. And there are times when I spend too much time with the character and I have to put him in a box and go, I need to go out and get some fresh air because it's like being around another person. You're like, I've
yeah,
practiced this for so long that it's just like I can't. The person starts to bother you and it starts to get annoying. So you're like, I'm gonna
yeah.
come back to this later, but you know, it's a
No, but I watched you now.
it's a real thing.
No, but I mean, how you did it now in during the interview as well. Where really you have these habits that children do that you said that your cousins do, but it's really
Mhm.
like that. It's really feels alive.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And again, in going into how much work it takes a lot of work to give it life.
Mm,
But I definitely think it's worth it, and I'm a big stickler on my performance of it, and it's something that I'm always critiquing myself. And I think as long as you're always looking to improve, you're going to be fine,
yeah.
whether you're learning it um, or studying it. But yeah, as an audience member, it's great when they buy into it and when you can keep that alive. And as a ventriloquist, it takes very little. But if you're a really good ventriloquist, people appreciate it and they can pick up on it quickly. So
But
I keep myself in
this,
check.
yeah, but this is a world that I don't know much of, and you're the first ventriloquist that I'm speaking to. But I
Oh,
was
cool.
wondering if, like I discovered with talking to puppeteers that puppets are actually used in many different ways and in many different ways of performance. So
Mhm.
is that the same with ventriloquism, or is it just this is a two-man show, or it's just you and your puppets and it's that type of performance? Or can you see that there's other types of things that you can use this art form in?
I think traditionally, um, I think puppetry has so many various applications. I think ventriloquism is a branch of puppetry performance. And so I think it kind of limits to what you can do as a ventriloquist. Um, Ventriloquists started with necromancers and people that were summoning spirits from the dead in churches and calling out and throwing their
Really?
voice and making a quick buck off of that as a scam in a way.
Mm.
So yeah, there's other ways of doing ventriloquism. There have been ventriloquists that have had multiple puppets on stage, or ventriloquists that have gone out in the public and entertained, maybe not on a stage, but ventriloquists in the hospitals or different things like that. And so I don't think there's many ways of uh, applying ventriloquism, but I think there are many ways of performing it and many markets that it's performed in. Typically, you think ventriloquist, you either think of like, okay, there's someone selling out arenas worldwide, touring with an adult act, or they're like doing a kid's birthday party. But there's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
other people that are, doing corporate entertainment. They're doing family shows, and these people make a living off of this. So there's a lot of different markets that occupy ventriloquists, and a lot of different ways that ventriloquism can be applied um, to performance, and the look of the person with the puppet. They might not be a ventriloquist, but some of these Universal Studios and Disney has even they've incorporated puppetry into their walk around characters, and they will have
Oh yeah.
a puppeteer with a puppet, and that works very similar to how a ventriloquist puppet works. But the audio is pre-recorded, so that they don't have to actually be a
Oh, I
ventriloquist.
see. Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
right, and if you're a good ventriloquist, I remember being in middle school and having my friends run up to me, and because I would bring the puppet to school on certain days for book reports, and they would go, "There's a voice box in the puppet." I go, "No, there's not." And they go, "We'll prove it." And so the puppet would tell them to their face what they're wearing or have a conversation with them, and it would, they'd jump back and surprise. So it's always fun, and there's always I think puppetry will always speak to humanity, whether it's dramatic, whether it's representative of something bigger, or whether it's just humorous. And even in ventriloquism and comedic puppetry, it's funny because it's true. There's some truth to it. So
Yeah.
I hope that answers. That's a
And
convoluted answer,
yeah,
but
yeah. And I think it
hope that helps.
really taps, I think it really taps into our child, the child within,
Yes.
it really taps into that, because I can always see myself, when I see a puppet, or when somebody is busy with a puppet, you sort of almost become a little bit of a child again when you see that, that sort of naivety. So that's
Hmm.
wonderful that it can bring that out in us in as a performance. But now I'm wondering, when you said about the origins of ventriloquism, have you ever played a trick on people, or with your mum called, and then use
I've
that?
I've had friends that I would hang out with, and I would throw my voice. I'd go, "What's that out the window?" And I'd throw my voice, and they would look around
Oh, really?
uh, for a person, or because when you throw your voice, there's doing ventriloquism, and then throwing your voice is making it sound like it's further away than it actually is, and it's
Oh, I
restraining the
see.
vocal cords.
Mm.
And that's what it means to throw your voice. So I've done a little bit of that and had fun with that, but I could never do it on my parents or my family, because I've been doing this since I was 6 years old, and I was performing in my grandparents' living room, and so they thought that this would be like a little passing fad, that
Oh,
okay, well,
yeah.
he's doing ventriloquism now, he'll grow out of it, and I have not yet. So I could never really pull a fast one on them, because they've known that
Yeah.
I've been doing this, could do this forever. But sometimes I'll get in an elevator and have fun and really kind of put my skills to the test.
Amazing. Yeah. I can just think that it can be so much fun. But talking about your parents now, and that they thought it was just a fad. At what point did you realize that you can sort of make a career of it, and make a living of it?
I'll let you know when I get there.
Oh, okay.
um, no, it's when did I realize? I think I was probably in ninth grade. So I just gotten into high school, and I never had a real job. A lot of my friends were working at fast food restaurants and things like that, and I was booking children's shows. So on a weekend, I'd do a couple children's shows, and do a half-hour show and make decent money. And I go, this is great. I can work on my art. I love it. I'm entertaining, and I get paid at the end of it. It's I love performing so much that I forget that it's a job, and then I get a paycheck at the end of it. And I go, okay, this is great. I
Amazing.
gotta
Yeah.
capitalize
Mhm.
on this. And so I've avoided having a real job since. I've been building puppets and doing the online shows, and working on my material for my first tour. And so it's really kind of evolved over the years into something that I'm very excited to present to
So
my
from a
live
young
audience.
age, so from a young age, you've already learned the business side of things. So,
Yeah, I would say
how to
so.
get out there and do the performances. Mm.
Absolutely. A lot, a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of, you do a show for one audience and then you pass out cards and, oh, well, I want you for my kid's birthday and that kind of thing. And,
Oh yeah.
um,
Mhm.
and I've done almost every market. I did some corporate shows, when I got older, and I did, fair shows. And I realized that, the comedy that I wanted to do, the adult comedy, my characters had to be established and it had to be what I wanted. When you're doing these markets like corporate or children's shows, you kind of have a limit to what you can do or say, and it has to be, uh, constantly kind of scripted and tailored so you know that it will work. Because on certain times you can't really when when you're being hired, you don't have a lot of room for, experimentation,
Oh
because
yeah.
you are wanting to deliver a certain quality to a room that is not there to see you. A kid's birthday party, you're the entertainment, but they're not there for you. You're there for them. But if I have an audience that, and I'm doing my own theater show and they're coming out to see me, then they already kind of know me. They know that I'm this young ventriloquist they're coming out to see, so they're a bit more forgiving on, new material, or, maybe a new puppet, or even just my whole act in general. I can feel more comfortable performing it because they're coming to see me versus me coming to perform for them. And so,
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to have had all these various shows and been in all these different kind of circles of, audiences, and it's kind of led me to this point where I'm like, I need to branch off and really produce my own show. And now now I've become a producer. You talk about the facets of ventriloquism. There's the script writing. I have writers that I work with now, and the production of it, and the traveling aspect, and it's a bit of a headache. It's a lot of work for, me being on stage for an hour, an hour.
Yeah.
But,
But
again, I love it. So.
yeah, I never thought of it that you say that, when it's a children's party or something, that they're not there for you, but when it's a show that people come for you, they come and they buy the ticket and they come to see you. So yeah, that makes a huge difference also.
Absolutely.
Mm. But now, Landon, tell me, what are the wishes for you for the future? Where do you see your act going?
Gosh, I would love to tour. I've been getting a lot of messages of people saying, I want you to tour to my state, my city, and all of this. And so my goal within the next year is to start working on a tour. I'm a big, planner. I've been working on
Mm.
on this material for over a year, and working with writers, and really, tightening it up so that, when I present it for the first time, I'm confident in it and in the production of it. But my goal is to tour and to keep busy with that and just to have a blast, and for people to come out and see me, and for my live show to, match, or if not, uh, I don't even know, succeed what, is expected of my performance on social media, because a lot of these videos are just clips of my live streams that are improvised. So, if people enjoy this, then come see a scripted show
Amazing,
that I
yeah.
poured my heart and soul into, and enjoy that. So that's the goal. That's what we're working on, and
Mm.
introducing new characters, and having fun with that at the same time, and allowing myself to, be part performer and part creative, and not quite have to be, uh, subject to one over the other. I think is
Oh
important,
yeah.
because sometimes people say, well, you have to do one over the other. And, well, if you're an artist, you can do, you know, whatever you want, really, as long as it furthers what you're doing and it's not taking from it. And, I've everything that I've learned in the art of creating these guys has aided me into, adding to my quality of performance and brand and all of that. So it's been
Yeah,
quite a trip.
and I think it's part of the whole evolution, from tapping into all these different things, and then doing all these different things. I think that's all part of the whole process. But
Absolutely.
you have now the characters. What is it? Let me see. It's Jackie, Bill,
Hmm.
and Mervyn Young. That's the
Yes.
grandpa. Yeah, and then
Mhm.
Biscuit is the dog.
He's the dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So are they then the characters you'll be touring with? And are they then your act?
Yeah. So Jackie will be. Jackie and Mervin are definitely in the show. Um, I have some other characters that have been in some of my videos that might or might not make appearances. Kind of a surprise. And then of course I'm ending the show with the zombie. So we've got and it's been kind of a test to see kind of what people gravitate toward and making sure I have a different character. The show is for adults, but if I have people of all ages, 18 and up, I want to make sure that I have a character that speaks to each of them.
Oh
And so
yeah.
that's been the goal in crafting this hour. But yeah, we
And
start with Jackie. He keeps it high energy.
I love him. But it's also nice that you have Instagram and TikTok and these platforms, because then you can probably, from the feedback, see what people like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's I have a lot of my performer friends that kind of scoff at the notion of, oh, well, he's doing his live streams or he's online, but people will comment what they like or what they think is funny, or they'll message me directly, and it's a wonderful insight to me, and a wonderful affirmation that what I'm doing is relevant and speaks to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then this is so wonderful to talk to you, and many congratulations with what you've
Oh,
done
thank you.
and what you've achieved,
Appreciate it.
and amazing your dedication. And I can just imagine that you just go full on for it, and it's wonderful. I love the characters, and I love your videos, because it's great to and especially the one that I saw initially that came on my news feed, where you showed the first puppet and then where you are now, because I think that is also so important to see that things don't just happen like that, that there's a time frame, and there's a path, and that didn't just happen. So I think it's wonderful that you connect that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's trusting yourself and putting your heart and soul into your art, and taking outside criticism to a point, because it
Mm.
can be helpful, but also knowing that, like, okay, well, inside I want to develop this skill and learn it, and
Yeah,
that's the way to go.
amazing. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.